Part 48. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 471. Anyway, this area is going to be demolished and there is no way to avoid it. Besides, when it comes to spending money, Li Chen is eager to spend more. He has no refund points, so how can he do it without spending money? It's a pity that this area is not big, otherwise it wouldn't be only 11.1 billion. Ding. Detecting host consumption, 50 times rebate has been triggered, 555 billion has been credited. After this busy life, Li Chen earned a total of 555 billion. However, Li Chen immediately discovered something different. The system has changed. Because he just spent a total of 11.1 billion in one go, Li Chen's return multiple was directly upgraded. It has reached an unprecedented 100 times. Of course, the interface of the system has also changed. Host, Li Chen. Wealth, 821,142,724,898.9. Skills, release inner energy outwards. Medical skills, immortal level. Beast control, god level. Return points, 11,106,428. Return level, 100 times. Currency exchange, 1:20,000. After the meal just now, Li Chen finally became rich again. First of all, his own wealth has reached 800 billion. This is the time when he has the most wealth in his history. Secondly, the refund points have also reached the tens of millions level. Even if the Yuan family, Ye family, and Pan family start to exert their strength next, Li Chen is not afraid anymore. Pei Jiangnan didn't report much, but they were all important. Finally, there is Shen Yangqing's report. The first is the handling of the four major families, and the second is the acquisition of various industries. Then a large number of employees were arranged and laid off. Of course, some capable ones were still planned to be retained. In short, the integration of the four major families was not difficult except for the Liang family's lack of cooperation. It only takes a week at most to sort it out completely. All things considered, Li Chen's total wealth is now officially over 1 trillion. Next, Li Chen will soon receive a generous financial income. The financial income from the Yuan family goes directly to the eldest son Li Donglong, but the Ye family, the Pan family, and Li Chen's own previously planned industries have already made crazy efforts. Part of the bill will be settled soon. Although Li Chen has so much wealth now that he has become numb, he still has some expectations. How much profit can he get by then? Yang Mingdao, the company's structure has not been adjusted much now. Many things need to be replanned. In addition, the arrangements of the head office are still being further developed. If we want to be completely stable here, it will not take half a month. Don't be in a hurry, take your time, Li Chen smiled. He is just a hands-off shopkeeper, but that doesn't mean he doesn't know how difficult things are. Integrating the businesses of the four major families is definitely a huge project. Being able to get it off within half a month is already a miracle among miracles. If you need financial support, just tell me, Li Chen said, then please work harder for everyone. Good. Uncle Yang, stay here, Li Chen said, the rest of you can go get busy first. Everyone dispersed. Yang Ming knew what Li Chen wanted to ask. I have some doubts that have been stuck in my mind, Li Chen smiled bitterly and said, I think Uncle Yang might know something, right? Yang Ming had no intention of hiding anything. Then my parents. Li Chen hesitated and said, are they dead? Yang Ming was stunned. Apparently he didn't expect Li Chen's first question to be so tricky. After being stunned for half a minute, Yang Ming said uncertainly, actually, I don't know either. Don't know, Li Chen's eyes widened. Yeah, Yang Ming said, this is how chairman, he handles things. You know that he will keep anything in mind. Then my parents' graves are empty, did you know that? Yeah. I know. Li Chen was silent. As expected, Yang Ming knew. In other words, Yang Ming actually had a purpose. No wonder when he questioned the four major families before, they all said they did not dig graves. When Li Chen and his grandfather fled Rongcheng, they had no time to collect the bodies of Li Hoqiang and Zhao Yufeng. So no one knows what happened at that time. But the four major families must be sure and affirmative before letting them bury them. Therefore, there are only two possibilities now. The first is that someone dug up their bodies, and the second is that they are not dead and are hiding. But as things gradually became clearer, Li Chen felt that it was more likely that his parents were not dead. Then the second question, I died once, did you know? Li Chen asked, staring at Yang Ming. No. It was Li Chen's turn to be stunned. He always thought that Yang Ming was not taken seriously by the Li family. But now that he knew such a core secret issue, Li Chen had to wonder how much weight Yang Ming held in his father's heart. Grandpa was unwilling to say it before, so he must know something. Then Li Chen couldn't help but said, "Who poisoned me?" Yang Ming didn't know how to speak for a while. "Uncle Yang." "It's your mother," Yang Ming hesitated and said. At this moment, Li Chen's mind suddenly exploded. Mom poisoned herself? This simply overturned Li Chen's cognition and worldview. How is this possible? Looking at Li Chen's almost sluggish expression, Yang Ming sighed, and he didn't understand the reason. If it was really his mother who poisoned him, then the nature of the whole incident would be completely changed. Li Chen's back was covered in cold sweats. His parents set up a trap with their bodies. Even, they bet on the lives of the whole family. What's the purpose? At this moment, Li Chen felt cold all over, because everything was reasonable and explainable. Li Hoqiang and Zhao Yufeng set up a trap with their bodies, and first used his death to weave a lie. Because the four major families and even the people behind them would not take the initiative to ask who poisoned him, Li Chen. The news that Li Chen was resurrected was also known to them. Then the Li family was betrayed and something happened, and the four major families took over the entire Li family. His parents died tragically, and he and his grandfather were forced to hide in Jia village. Then there was Xiao Wu and the others. Li Chen froze suddenly, his eyes widening little by little. So, the Murong family's layout and participation had already begun more than 10 years ago. Yang Ming did not dare to disturb Li Chen's changing expression. He knew that Li Chen had connected enough clues. If this was the truth, wouldn't it mean that his parents and the Murong family were also connected? Because only in this way can all people and things form a closed loop. Every step will be correct. Li Chen leaned woodenly on the chair, and his and Shue's lives were controlled from beginning to end. What exactly do they want to do? Are the Murong family and the Li family united? Li Chen finally understood why his eldest son Li Donglong said that he felt that Murong Hungs actually cared more about Xiao Wu. Because Xiao Wu is also a key link. Without Xiao Wu, there would be nothing behind. But how can they be sure that Xiao Wu can definitely help them open the system? Also, where are Dad Li Hoqiang and Mom Zhao Yufeng now? The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 472. Li Chen pinched his brows, feeling a dull pain. He never expected that this would be the result. This made him a little unacceptable, and he didn't even know what to say. His parents would definitely not harm him, but with all the things in front of him, Li Chen had to doubt their true intentions. What on earth was it that was worth them taking such a big risk, even at the cost of the lives of their entire family? Then did my parents have any other explanations? Li Chen took a deep breath, adjusted his mood again and asked. Yes, Yang Ming said, they said, let you take good care of Murong Shui and the children. Li Chen was stunned. No more. No more, Yang Ming said. Li Chen was really confused. He got himself involved, but didn't tell himself. Even if he got revenge now, everything seemed to be over, but was it really over? If he returned to the countryside to live, would he really be able to live in peace? Li Chen always suspected that this matter was not over at all. The four major families seemed to have been resolved, but they only resolved a few chess pieces. If the chess piece itself does not know who is the chess player behind it, it will be in vain if it does. Then you go and get busy first, Li Chen said with a wry smile. Master, don't think too much. Both the chairman and the lady love you. It's just that there are some problems with the way they express it. Yang Ming stood up and said, since there are no other requirements, they know that you will definitely do it well. I know. After Li Chen sent Yang Ming out, his face was bitter. So, the final doubt may still be in the capital? The place where everything started? Dong dong. Just when Li Chen was sorting out his thoughts alone, the knock on the door sounded again. Li Chen showed a trace of doubt. Who would look for him at this time? He didn't have any other acquaintances in Rongcheng? When Li Chen came to the door and opened it, he was stunned for a moment. Uncle Zhao. Standing at the door was Zhao Hualiang. This man who helped the Li family and Jia village from the beginning. Standing behind Zhao Hualiang was Zhao Yingzi, who still had a wheat-colored complexion and held a toy in his hand. When she saw Li Chen, Zhao Yingzi's smile suddenly disappeared, and she looked like a cool heroine again, nodding to Li Chen reservedly. Zhao Hualiang and Zhao Yingzi walked in, and Li Chen closed the door. Xiao Wu. Li Biwu, who was playing with Li Zifeng, was scratching her ears and complaining. After hearing Zhao Yingzi's voice, she immediately raised her head. When she saw the teddy bear in Zhao Yingzi's hand, her eyes instantly lit up like searchlights. Sister Yingzi. Li Biwu rushed over immediately. It's Yingzi. Yingzi. Zhao Yingzi thought about it and decided not to bother to correct it. She picked up Li Biwu, who rushed into her arms, took another gift, and walked to Li Zifeng. This is for you. Give it to me, Li Zifeng pointed at herself. Yeah, Zhao Yingzi smiled and said, I heard that you also practice martial arts. Yeah, Li Zifeng took it and thanked her. It's good to practice martial arts. Girls can protect themselves if they practice martial arts. Zhao Yingzi hugged Li Biwu and sat down. Li Zifeng's eyes lit up slightly. Are you also practicing martial arts? Yes, Zhao Yingzi smiled and said, I'm going to be a master soon. Isn't it amazing? Very amazing, very amazing, Li Zifeng said sincerely. I'm almost there too. Zhao Yingzi, carrot. Carrot, slash, T. T. Sister, what's wrong with you? Li Zifeng asked. Ahem, nothing. Zhao Yingzi coughed guiltily and looked at Li Zifeng with some disbelief. This little sister is so young, and she is also approaching the threshold of the master? What is it? Sister Yingzi, let me play with a snake for you. Li Biwu brought Ziahua over. A snake, there is a snake. Li Biwu. Li Zifeng. Li Chen, who was sitting in the living room, looked at Zhao Yingzi with a dull face as she jumped up and hit her head on the ceiling. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. She is afraid of snakes. I didn't expect that either. Zhao Hualiang's eyes were full of smiles. He doted on Zhao Yingzi and indulged her. Li Chen looked at Zhao Hualiang and said, why did Uncle Zhao come here this time? Oh, just to see you and Xiao Wu, Zhao Hualiang said. In fact, when you came to Rongcheng, we already knew about it, but we didn't rush here immediately. Now that it has been dealt with, we naturally have no scruples. This time, seeing you is just one of the reasons, and the second is to discuss cooperation. Cooperation? Li Chen was slightly stunned. Yes, the medicinal materials purchased from your village are very good. Now we have established a Chamber of Commerce alliance. Previously, we mainly made a certain blockade against the four major families, but now that the four major families are gone, we naturally have to shift to cooperation. Li Chen understood, cooperation is naturally no problem, and it's a good opportunity to talk to the people in our village. If production is increased, and there is no shortage of vitality water now, the per capita income of the village will inevitably continue to rise. This is a good thing. Okay, let's just leave it at that. Zhao Hualiang was in a good mood. The medicinal liquor was selling well, so it was natural to strengthen the cooperation. Your stretch mark removal medicine has already produced a preliminary product, but it will take several clinical trials before it can be mass-produced. We have to wait a little longer. There's no rush for that, Li Chen said with a smile. Zhao Hualiang has always been quite reliable in doing business. Since he said so, it proves that the actual progress will be even faster. When will you return to the village? Zhao Hualiang asked. Wait 2 more days. I plan to take the two sisters to walk around Rongcheng and have some fun before going back. Li Chen looked at Li Zifeng and Li Biwu. That's fine, Zhao Hualiang said, but I have to remind you, be careful of the red skull in the capital. Li Chen was slightly startled and looked at Zhao Hualiang in disbelief. I have been investigating and paying attention to your family's affairs. I found that this matter may be far more complicated than this, Zhao Hualiang explained. Although the four major families have been wiped out, the real person behind the scenes has not been dug out. I have a few guesses here. Do you want to listen? Tell me, Li Chen immediately said seriously. He didn't have too many grudges against Zhao Hualiang. Just as Zhao Hualiang treated him as his own nephew, he also treated him as his real elder. According to the information I have obtained, there are at least 4 forces involved in your family. The first is the Murong family, and the second is the Red Skull. There are at least 2 families left behind the 4 major families in Rongcheng. One is the Dongfang family, and the other is the Zheng family. Li Chen's pupils shrank and said, Uncle Zhao, are you sure the Zheng family is also involved? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 473. Confirmed, Zhao Hualiang said in a very affirmative tone. Li Chen tapped the table lightly with his fingers, and Zhao Hualiang continued, at least, the information I have found here is like this: the Zheng family participated in your Li family incident. Li Chen didn't know this news before, because he never thought about this aspect, and didn't connect the Zheng family. Now looking back, there are indeed many unreasonable and debatable places. However, I don't recommend you to go to the capital now, Zhao Hualiang said. Why? Li Chen asked seriously. It's best to pretend that you don't know, and take a look. By the way, Zhao Hualiang said, didn't you reach an agreement with the Yuan family, the Ye family, and the Pan family? After Zhao Hualiang's reminder, Li Chen thought of something. Originally, he didn't plan to go to the capital now. After all, many things were just guesses. Secondly, the 4 major families are now destroyed. He has more important things to do, and remote control in Jia village may not be impossible. Besides, the capital is now shrouded in mystery, and he himself has not sorted out enough clues. If he goes there rashly, it will only make the situation worse. Zhao Hualiang's reminder made him realize this more deeply. He must be cautious. Either don't do anything, or kill them all. Don't worry, Uncle Zhao, I know what to do. Li Chen nodded. He is not the impulsive person. That's good. Zhao Hualiang patted his butt and stood up, pointing to the kitchen and said, cook a few dishes, I will leave after I finish eating. Li Chen. He watched Zhao Hualiang go to play with Xiao Wu and Xiao Feng, and seriously suspected that the news said by this elder was secondary, and he was mainly here to eat. However, Li Chen didn't mind these. Anyway, there are still some vegetables in this new house, and he can just cook a meal. Zhao Hualiang rarely comes here, and he will definitely not come to Rongcheng often in the future. It's not bad for the family to eat happily. When Li Chen was cutting vegetables and cooking, Zhao Yingzi ran over and stared at him seriously. This girl probably wants to learn cooking, and she is watching very seriously. When Li Chen started to cook seriously, Li Biwu came over. Hug. Li Biwu tilted her head up, with crystal saliva at the corner of her mouth. Zhao Yingzi wiped Li Biwu and picked her up, and the two watched with relish. Zhao Hualiang and Li Zifeng sat on the sofa, talking about something, and Li Zifeng's eyes flickered. Li Chen always felt that this elder wanted to fool his eldest daughter. Wow! Because Zhao Yingzi and Li Biwu were there, Li Chen couldn't be distracted. The little girl praised him from time to time, making Li Chen feel that he was the reincarnation of the god of cooking. Perhaps in Xiao's heart, the father who can cook is the god of cooking. It smells so good, Li Biwu swallowed his saliva, staring at the meat in the pot. Li Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He picked up a piece with chopsticks and blew it gently before putting it to Li Biwu's mouth. The little girl immediately laughed and danced with joy, and opened her mouth to eat the soft food that her father personally fed her. Yeah, Li Biwu nodded while eating, and gave her father a thumbs up. Let's eat. Let's eat. Li Biwu imitated Li Chen and jumped on the ground. She couldn't wait to stand on the chair to eat. Zhao Yingzi picked up Li Biwu and put her next to her. It can be seen that Zhao Yingzi likes Xiao Wu very much. However, she didn't plan to feed Xiao Wu this time. With the lesson from last time, she didn't dare to underestimate this little girl. Zhao Hualiang pulled Li Zifeng to sit aside, but Li Chen sat alone in the main seat. They are all family, so there is no need to be polite. This house was bought by Shen Yanqing when he was in the capital. He and Xiao Wu and Xiao Feng will only stay for a while and will return to the village soon. Have some wine, Li Chen asked, holding the drunken dream star red wine. On time, Zhao Hualiang's eyes lit up and said, you know what, the Pan family is very good, this red wine is absolutely amazing. After all, it's an old brand of wine. Li Chen smiled and poured it for Zhao Hualiang. This red wine does not need to be decanted for half an hour, 10 minutes will be enough. Xiao Wu, do you want to drink? Zhao Hualiang tempted with a red wine glass. Li Biwu, who was eating steamed buns and dry rice, raised her head suddenly, and there were rice grains on her nose and mouth. She glanced at the red wine in Zhao Hualiang's hand that exuded a strong fruity aroma and shook her head, saying seriously, Mom said that good children should not waste wine. After that, she continued to eat. No one is more serious about eating than her. Sister, you're slow. Li Biwu finished the rice in her bowl, glanced at the rice in Zhao Yingzi's bowl and smiled. Zhao Yingzi's movements froze, and she didn't know where the desire to win came from. She actually wanted to compete with the child in eating. Li Chen was stunned. Although Zhao Yingzi looks cold and cool on the outside and acts in a capable manner, her heart is really like a child. It's rare. Li Chen and Zhao Hualiang ate and drank while chatting about the next cooperation. If your medicine for removing stretch marks is really so effective, I'm sure it will be another hit next time, Zhao Hualiang said. Really, Li Chen really didn't think about these. His original intention of making this medicine was to give it to Murong Shui as a gift. But Zhao Hualiang is a businessman, so his perspective and starting point are completely different. Of course, you have to know that even if there are cesarean sections now, stretch marks have always existed. Even if you exercise to restore your figure, there will still be an impact, Zhao Hualiang said. Once this thing is made, it will definitely cause a sensation. No matter what age a woman is, as long as she can become beautiful, who wouldn't be happy? Who doesn't want to? Even ordinary people have the right to love beauty, don't they? My personal suggestion is that if you are interested in the future, you should specialize in studying things that can help women become beautiful. This thing will definitely have amazing benefits. Li Chen widened his eyes. Why should I study these things? Besides, my wife is so beautiful, I should feel inferior if she becomes more beautiful. Let's talk about it later. Uncle Zhao always talks about his profession. However, this meal did open up new ideas for Li Chen. He had the vitality water, so maybe he could come up with a lot of things. But after thinking about it, he decided to forget it. Let's talk about it when we have time. For now, his wife and children are the most important. Now that he has the money, he should vigorously develop the village and speed up the process. The super park still needs to be built, and it needs to be built as soon as possible. Not only that, he also needs to start preparing for his wife's wedding. It would be best if all these things could be completed before the end of the year. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 474. Xiao Wu, I'll come and play with you later. Okay, Li Biwu nodded seriously and said, I'll wait for you at home. Watching Zhao Hualiang and Zhao Yingzi leave, Li Biwu pointed at the door to Daodu, and Daodu immediately ran over to close it. Li Chen leaned back on the sofa and didn't want to move. The two little guys, Li Zifeng and Li Biwu, huddled around Li Chen on the left and right, and the three of them watched Calabash Brothers seriously. There's no way, Xiao Wu doesn't watch Bald Qiang anymore. Although Xiao Wu is as long-winded as ever when watching cartoons, Li Chen enjoys it more now. Unknowingly, it was 9:30. Without Murong Shui, Li Biwu could watch for a long time. Just when Li Chen thought the little girl would continue watching, she stood up and said, Daddy, you can't watch it anymore. Why? Li Chen asked, imitating Xiao Wu's previous behavior. Xiao Wu lay in front of Li Chen, rubbing his cheek and said, because if you watch it for too long, your eyes will be damaged. Mom, children can't watch TV too often. Oh, our Xiao Wu is so sensible. Li Chen showed a surprised look on his face, picked up Li Biwu and said, okay, Dad will listen to you, let's go take a bath. Hee, Li Biwu likes to be thrown up or lifted high by Li Chen. Every time this happens, she looks particularly happy. Xiao Feng, can you do it yourself? Li Chen turned his head and looked at Li Zifeng, who turned off the TV and asked. I'm not stupid, Xiao Wu, Li Zifeng said with a proud face. Xiao Wu is not stupid. Li Biwu screamed back like a kitten whose tail was stepped on. You are so old, and you still need your dad to help you take a bath. You are so stupid. Li Zifeng continued to stimulate. Li Biwu's belly was bulging with anger. She hugged Li Chen and snorted, Xiao Wu can wash herself, too, Daddy, right? Yes. Xiao Wu is not stupid. The little girl was so wrong that she cried. Yes, our Xiao Wu is very smart, Li Chen comforted her. Li Biwu struggled in Li Chen's arms and wanted to get down. Stinky second sister, Xiao Wu also wants to take a bath by herself. Li Chen. Can you? Sure. Li Biwu rushed into the room with her short legs and began to look for clothes by herself. Li Chen followed behind. Hiss. Xiahua looked at Daodu and stuck out her tongue. What's wrong with the little master? Daodu glanced at her and finally explained that she just wanted to play in the water by herself. Xiahua's snake eyes widened. Weren't they arguing about who was stupid just now? Daodu yawned. You are still too young. Don't believe anything the little master says. She may want to prove herself at this moment, but not necessarily the next moment. Don't bother me, I'll sleep for a while. Xiahua tilted her head, not really understanding. After all, it just integrated. Li Zifeng watched Li Biwu really go in to take a shower alone, cut a sentence, and turned to enter the bathroom. She didn't mean anything else by squeezing her stupid sister, just to make Li Chen relax. Li Chen stood at the door, watching Xiao, who was getting ready in the bathroom, so he said, can you? Sure. Li Biwu smiled and pointed to the door, Daddy, don't peek. Li Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and closed the door obediently. 15 minutes later, Li Zifeng had finished washing and came out to blow dry her hair. Li Chen waved his hand, and she sat obediently beside Li Chen. Holding the hair dryer, she gently dried Li Zifeng's somewhat smooth hair. Both daughters perfectly inherited Murong Shui's advantages, whether it is beauty or hair volume. Li Zifeng leaned against Li Chen and enjoyed this time. After his hair was dried, Li Chen glanced at the time. It had been 25 minutes, and Xiao Wu hadn't come out yet. Will Xiao Wu be in trouble? Li Chen said worriedly. Li Chen kicked Daodu and said, "Go and have a look." "Ayo ayo." Daodu yawned. The little master must not have had enough fun playing with the water. You can hear the sound. Go if I tell you to go, Li Chen glared. Daodu had to jump off the sofa, ran to the bathroom door, and opened it upright. Daodu, Li Biwu, who was lying in the bathroom, looked like a little lunatic. Seeing Daodu coming in, he immediately waved happily, "Come on, come on." Daodu shook his dog head. "If I really go in and play with you, the master will beat me to death." "Woof woof," Daodu urged, pointing at the shoes and clothes with his paws. The meaning was very clear. "Come out quickly, or the master will spank you." Li Biwu sucked in his stomach, stood up suddenly from the water, and then climbed out of the bathtub. Hurry up, help me." Daodu rolled his eyes, but still came in with a towel in his mouth for Xiao to wipe her body. After the man and the dog were done, they walked out of the bathroom. Li Zifeng, who was sitting on the sofa with disheveled hair, saw the wet Xiao rushing out and shook her head. "Did you play in the water again?" Seeing that Li Chen's face was not right, Li Biwu ignored it directly, and a milk swallow came into his arms, bumped into Li Chen's chest, and snorted, "Daddy, Xiao misses you so much." "Li Chen. Do you miss Xiao?" Li Biwu tilted his head and tried to change the subject. "Sit down." "Okay." Li Biwu immediately sat down obediently, tickling Daodu while enjoying the blow-drying of her father. "I don't know who she learned this cleverness from. The way of changing the subject is very awkward, but you can't continue to hold her accountable." After drying Xiao's hair, Li Chen said, "Get ready for bed." "Then will Daddy sleep with us?" Li Biwu asked with anticipation in her eyes. "Okay." "Yeah." Li Biwu jumped up excitedly, ran to the largest room, climbed up, and shouted, "Daddy, come quickly, come quickly." Although Li Chen didn't know what the little girl was excited about, he still walked over quickly with Li Zifeng. The air conditioner was not turned on too high, and Li Chen was afraid that his two daughters would catch a cold. After lying down, the two little cuties hugged Li Chen on the left and right. While feeling happy, he felt a little restrained and unable to move. After covering the little master with a thin blanket, Li Chen said, "Daodu, come in and turn off the light." Daodu came to the door with a resentful look in his eyes. The master is getting more and more like a dog. Even things like turning off the light have to be done by a dog. After pressing the switch, Daodu closed the door and ran to the living room to sleep. When the master sleeps with the little master, there is no place for it, and it knows this very well. Woof woof. Daodu looked at the red snake in his doghouse and cursed, "Stupid snake, why are you hiding in my nest?" The red snake Xiahua raised its head and said, "We are in the same group. They all sleep together, so why don't we sleep together?" Daodu thought about it and it made sense, so he went to sleep with Xiahua. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 475. It was never Li Chen who woke Xiao Wu up, but the smell of breakfast. Li Biwu immediately got up from the bed after smelling the smell, and she didn't even need to be called. The two sisters got up with the same hairstyle and started to rinse their mouths. "Daddy! Help me, Wu." Li Biwu looked up at her sister who covered her mouth, not understanding what she wanted to do. You want daddy to comb your hair, right? Li Zifeng asked. Li Biwu nodded obediently and blinked. Li Zifeng picked up the comb beside her and said, sister will help you comb your hair, okay? But you can't do it. Li Biwu tilted her head and looked at her second sister. I will, Li Zifeng said firmly, as if to cheer herself up. Well, okay then, Li Biwu nodded her little head. She didn't care who combed her hair, as long as someone helped her comb her hair. Hiss. Ah. It hurts. Li Biwu covered her head, huddled in a corner, and looked at the comb in her second sister's hand and the large amount of hair with tears in her eyes. Second sister, I won't comb my hair anymore, okay? Li Zifeng took the hair off the comb with an embarrassed look and said, it was an accident just now, you have to believe me. I won't. Li Biwu turned around and ran away with a pout, but was caught by Li Zifeng's neck. Daddy, save me, woo. Li Biwu struggled hard, the second sister was too scary to comb her hair. It's worse than daddy. Don't shout. Li Zifeng was a little anxious, and said, if you shout again, I'll beat you. Li Biwu looked at her second sister pitifully, with pleading eyes. I don't want it. Let me try again, Li Zifeng said, I'll be gentle this time. Dare you? Well, I promise. Li Zifeng said guiltily. Li Biwu didn't move obediently. The two sisters took a deep breath at the same time and planned to give each other a chance. Hiss. The comb pulled Li Biwu's head back slightly, and finally hit Li Zifeng's belly. The two sisters fell to the ground at the same time with a bang. Li Zifeng threw away the comb with a look of despair and picked up her stupid sister. Forget it, let's go find dad. Li Biwu covered her head and ran away. I will never trust my second sister again, you liar. Li Zifeng came out with a comb and saw Li Biwu complaining to her father, her face turned slightly red. Ha ha ha. Li Chen laughed heartily, rubbed Xiaowu's scalp and said, then dad will help you comb your hair. Li Zifeng looked embarrassed and doubted her life. Could it be that all people with the surname Li are like this? Grandpa can't comb hair, dad can't comb hair, big brother can't comb hair, and little brother can't comb hair. I thought I should be an exception, but I didn't expect, I can't comb my hair. Li Zifeng wanted to die. Li Chen couldn't help laughing, he felt that his family was too perfect. It's good not to comb hair, at least it can be perfect. Li Chen combed hair in a lazy way, pinched Li Biwu's hair, asked her to spin, and finally tied a bun. He couldn't yell at her for a more complicated hairstyle. Li Chen also thought about learning some skills in the system, but the problem is that the system doesn't have the skill of combing hair. Xiaofeng, come. Learn how dad combs hair. Li Chen looked confident, at least his rubbish combing skills were better than his eldest daughter's. Li Zifeng looked weird, and her father's confidence made her panic. Forget it, mom is not here, dad is indeed the most authoritative. Turn. Oh, Li Zifeng spun around like a tool, and finally the same hairstyle as Xiaowu came out. Unexpectedly, they were surprisingly good looking. Li Chen couldn't help but take a short video of the two sisters and posted it on Douyin, and also sent it to Murong Shui. Have breakfast, I'll take you out to play for a day today, and we'll go home tomorrow. Fat home, Li Biwu waved her little hand excitedly. Daodu and Xiahua looked at each other and became excited. This big city is not comfortable at all, and they can't run around. They already want to go back. After a quick breakfast, Li Zifeng took Xiahua with her and put her in a small bag so as not to scare others. As for Daodu, she put on the rope and collar she bought and was led by Xiahua. The car was scrapped, and Li Chen was helpless. I never expected that the new car I bought would break down before it even lasted half a month. I had to buy another car. Li Chen had never taken a few children to play together seriously, and the time in Beijing didn't count. So, he wanted to leave more good memories and joy for his two daughters. As for his son, don't spoil him too much. Li Chen took the two little guys to the amusement park first. The main theme parks and parent-child parks are actually mainly for children. There are not so many places that really let adults participate. Li Chen took them to play, and also took a look at these masterpieces to avoid stepping on thunder in the future. Ah! When playing these exciting projects, Li Bu was screamed in fear, but Li Zifeng was excited. Water! Li Bu was excited when he saw water. The huge swimming pool was not very deep, it could be said to be very shallow, and it was mainly for children to play. The sea of people is not enough to describe it. Li Chen walked in holding one in each hand, and Li Zifeng also enjoyed the feeling of being held by someone for the first time. Boom! The simulated huge waves in the distance hit, causing a group of people to scream. The children below were wearing a variety of swimsuits and splashing in the water. Li Chen put Li Zifeng down and led her to the middle. I have to admit that in places where you can't see the sea, this kind of park is really profitable and eye-catching. When all the children are together, all worries will be put down. Li Bu likes water projects the most. Li Chen dragged her and she splashed in the water. Daddy! Li Bu wanted to go deeper, where there were surging waves. Let's go, Li Chen smiled and walked over with Xiao. The water here was just deep enough to reach Li Chen's chest. Because of the simulated waves, sometimes it could cover Li Chen's head. Li Bu was even more excited. Xiao Feng, be careful. Okay, Li Zifeng was also struggling inside. Even though Li Chen's cultivation was now extremely powerful, when he didn't use his abilities, he couldn't hold on for 2 hours with his two daughters in the water. When they finally left, Xiao Wu was still reluctant to leave. After coming out, Li Chen took the two little ones to eat the delicacies here. He didn't plan to have a full meal, but let the two little ones eat whatever they saw. They were full after eating, and they didn't delay the two little ones from shopping. Li Zifeng didn't like to buy things very much, but Xiao Wu wanted everything shiny and shiny when she saw it. Li Chen didn't lack this little money, and tried his best to meet their needs. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 476. Qin Sheng, are you coming today? Come, come, Qin Sheng said with a smile, and hung up the phone with a bitter face. Looking at the big dog beside him, he had no confidence at all. Qin Sheng. Hearing someone calling him, his face suddenly changed. Mr. Rong, Qin Sheng immediately showed a flattering smile. A man and a woman came over, and the leader was Rong Bin. Rong Bin glanced at the big dog beside Qin Sheng and smiled, you just found such a thing. Qin Sheng's face froze, but he didn't refute. I think your Qin family has also reached the end. Rong Bin came over, patted Qin Sheng's cheek and said, I told you a long time ago not to get too close to the surname Li. Now you have tasted the bitter fruit. Qin Sheng's face was slightly cold. You see, our Rong family doesn't easily stand on the side. Recently, Rong Cheng has been purged, and our Rong family has embraced another Thai. This is the way for the family to survive, do you understand? Qin Sheng clenched his fists. Forget it, a loser like you won't understand even if I talk to him. Rong Bin and the woman beside him showed a hint of sarcasm, tomorrow is the final deadline. If you can't pay back the money, don't blame me for being unruly. Rong Bin and the woman beside him sneered and turned away. Qin Sheng's clenched fists loosened at this time, and he looked at the direction they left with a complicated look. Rong Cheng has changed. That's what the big people and big families should pay attention to. Their Qin family, is very pitiful. They are not qualified and can't pay attention. Unlike the wrong family, they used to have a good family background. Maybe they can only look up to the existence of the four major families. But now it's different. The wrong family has attached themselves to the new force that recently destroyed the four major families. It is said that there are relatives on duty in this new force. Otherwise, it would be difficult to attach themselves to the wrong family with their status. However, Qin Sheng has paid more attention recently and saw a name that shocked him and made him unbelievable. Li Chen. The controller of that new force is called Li Chen. There are many people with the same name and surname. He knows that this powerful Li Chen is not the same Li Chen he knew before. Qin Sheng. A girl dressed quite innocently came over quickly. But when she saw the big dog with Qin Sheng, a trace of disgust flashed in her eyes. Nana, Qin Sheng smiled slightly, stepped forward quickly, and said, "You are here, let's go in." Chu Na frowned slightly and looked at the dog in Qin Sheng's hand and said, "Are you still going to use this local dog?" Qin Sheng was startled and said, "Believe me, the local dog is also very fierce." "Qin Sheng, do you take my words to heart?" Chu Na was a little angry. "Are you so reluctant to spend money? Do you still want to marry me? Do you still want to go on with me?" "Of course I want to, but..." "I don't think you want to, otherwise why do you keep asking me to marry you again and again?" "Why do you do this?" Chu Na said angrily. "If you don't want to win and make money, we can break up." "Nana," Qin Sheng also said anxiously, "you also know how expensive Wu Keping's dog is." "I have no money." "Didn't you say before that his dog was very strong? But what's the result? Didn't he lose?" Chu Na laughed angrily. "Are you blaming me?" "No, no." Qin Sheng waved his hands quickly, not wanting to dwell on this issue, so he flattered, "This is a gift I brought for you." Chu Na glanced at it. It was only a few thousand yuan, and she was too lazy to look at it. But after thinking about it, she chose to accept it. "Don't be angry, I will definitely win this time, believe me," Qin Sheng comforted. "Let's go, it's about to start." Chu Na didn't say anything more, turned around and prepared to go to the dungeon with Qin Sheng. "Ah!" Chu Na and Qin Sheng were startled, and a small dog in front of them stared at them covetously. "Dead dog, get out of here." Chu Na patted her full chest, her eyes flashing with deep disgust. "How come I can meet this kind of dog everywhere? It's really annoying." Qin Sheng glanced at the big dog beside him and found that it was trembling a little. "Dodo." At this time, a little girl ran over, holding the little dog, and said to Qin Sheng, "Uncle, I'm sorry, my dog got lost. Didn't it scare you?" "I take your dog with a leash, don't your elders teach you?" Chu Na said very angrily without waiting for Qin Sheng to speak. Li Biwu shrank his neck and said, "I'm sorry." "Get out of here." Chu Na was very annoyed and was about to push Li Biwu away. "Nana," Qin Sheng grabbed Chu Na and frowned, "isn't it bad to do this to a child?" "What do you mean?" "It was her dog that scared me, and I was wrong." Chu Na never expected that Qin Sheng would dare to refute her. "I was very kind not to teach her a lesson." "A child running around with a dog, such parents are rubbish." "Don't you dare to nag my poop," Li Biwu said angrily with bulging eyes. "See? Only uneducated people can teach such uneducated children." Chu Na pointed at Li Biwu and said, "He is holding a local dog, I think his father is also a local dog." "Enough." Qin Sheng's face sank and scolded, "Open your mouth and say local dog, shut up and say local dog, who is uneducated?" Chu Na was stunned, looking at the man in front of her with disbelief. She really didn't expect that this man would dare to yell at her in public. "Qin Sheng, you have the guts, how dare you yell at me in public?" Chu Na pointed her finger at Qin Sheng's cheek and said, "It's over between us. A coward like you will only be a successful person for the rest of his life." Just like the local dog you raised, he will only be a dog for the rest of his life. If you still want to make money with your native dog, just keep dreaming. Chu Na slammed the thing on the ground, turned around and left. Qin Shen wanted to catch up, but finally gave up. Little sister, I'm sorry. Qin Shen knelt down, looked at the little girl in front of him and apologized. Didn't I scare you? No. Li Biwu shook his head. Xiao Wu. Papa, I'm here. Li Biwu waved his hand, his eyes smiling like crescent moons. Li Zifeng was holding 2 ice creams in her hands, and Li Chen came over with a bunch of things in his hands. Qin Shen, who was squatting in front of Li Biwu, raised his head sharply. The moment he saw Li Chen, his whole body was stunned for a moment. He was a little afraid to recognize him, but he felt that this person was very familiar. Li Chen. Qin Shen shouted uncertainly. Li Chen, who was carrying a bunch of small things, was startled when he heard this. It wasn't until he saw Qin Shen's face that he was surprised and said, Qin Shen, is that you? Li Biwu raised his little head, looked at Li Chen, then at Qin Shen, and finally turned to look at the ice cream in the second sister's hand. Is it really you? Qin Shen said excitedly. Where did you go after college? Why is there no news from you? The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 477. So that's how it is. After listening to Li Chen's explanation, Qin Shen couldn't help but sigh. I didn't expect that you actually had a baby after graduation, and the child is so big now. Haha, it's okay. How about you? Li Chen didn't tell the truth. Qin Shen was his college roommate, but he didn't know Li Chen's background, and Li Chen didn't deliberately show off his family background at that time. Me, Qin Shen's eyes flashed with self-mockery, just an unemployed vagrant. Li Chen glanced at the big dog Qin Shen was holding and said, You are still fighting dogs. Yeah. Qin Shen smiled awkwardly and said, I'm sorry to embarrass you. What's the big deal? Li Chen shook his head. Everyone has their own interests and hobbies, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Another dog fight today? Yes, speaking of this, Qin Shen was a little excited. Several big dog kings will be on the stage. His eyes dimmed again and said, I don't know if my Dabao can still do it. Dabao is Qin Shen's local dog. Li Chen glanced at it. To be honest, this local dog is quite ferocious. He could even feel his admiration for his master Qin Shen, but his fighting ability was not very strong. Perhaps sensing that Li Chen was looking at it, Qin Shen's dog named Dabao couldn't help but look at Li Chen. It just so happens that I'm here with my daughter for a stroll. Why don't you take us to have a look? Li Chen suggested. Qin Shen was delighted when he heard this. He was still very excited after not seeing his roommate for so many years. But thinking that the scene might be a bit bloody, he said, Children. It's okay. Li Chen smiled and touched Li Biwu's little head. Xiao and Xiaofeng had experienced far more than anyone else. The mental quality is very strong. What's more, fighting between dogs is always better than fighting between people. Then let's go. Qin Shen also smiled and took out a new mask from his skull bag and handed it to Xiao Wu and Xiaofeng. The smell inside is a bit unpleasant, you wear it. Thank you, uncle. Li Biwu took it with a smile and asked Li Chen to help her put it on. Li Zifeng took Daodu's rope and Li Chen's other big hand and followed him in. Qin Shen has liked raising dogs and fighting dogs since he was a child. The Qin family is not very well off, at least compared to Li Chen's family. But looking at the ordinary people, it is considered rich. He has a lot of feelings for local dogs, because when he was a child, he was chased and bitten by a dog, and it was the local dog that saved him. Therefore, Qin Shen is not too fond of the so-called high-blooded and purebred dogs. Instead, he thinks that the Chinese rural dog is the best choice. They are not spoiled and not so hypocritical. As the most loyal dog of the owner, it is actually very smart and cares about the owner. Li Chen just smiled. He didn't know much. Foreign dogs have their advantages, and local dogs have their advantages. Dowdu is a local dog, and he thinks it's good. Dog fighting is similar to cockfighting and gambling on stones. Li Chen was also in contact with it for the first time. As Qin Sheng walked into the underground venue, he could smell a strange smell. The smell was particularly strong when there were many dogs. The underground city was very clean, with smooth floors. There were many people coming and going, all talking about the dogs that were about to fight today. Li Biwu and Li Zifeng were also in such a place for the first time. Their big eyes were full of surprise and curiosity. Dog fighting, they were also in contact with it for the first time. Dowdu, who was led, looked around boredly. These dogs were too weak to fight, and they looked down on them. Li Chen followed Qin Sheng to a more comfortable area, where many people took their own dogs to sit aside to rest. In the middle was a huge circular area, surrounded by iron cages. Everyone's seat had a special area where dogs could be tied up, and they would not bite others. However, it will be very noisy. When everyone's fighting power is similar and extremely ferocious, they will be hostile to each other. Baring teeth, barking, one after another. Only Dowdu and Qin Sheng's Dabao were particularly quiet. As for the look Dowdu gave these dogs, it was full of contempt from beginning to end. It's not that it is arrogant, but in its eyes, none of these dogs can be beaten. Snap! Dowdu glared at Li Chen. Master, why are you hitting me? Li Chen patted Dowdu and warned with his eyes. Just when Li Chen was about to order some food and drink, Qin Sheng was patted. Hey, you really dare to come? The person who spoke was none other than Rong Bin. Qin Sheng said a little embarrassedly, Mr. Rong, I will definitely pay it back before tomorrow, please give me some time. The people following Rong Bin laughed. Qin Sheng, every time you bring your dog back, you always come back empty-handed. How can you make Mr. Rong believe that you can make money? That's right, which dog here is not worth a lot of money? You bring a dog here, isn't this a slap in everyone's face? I think you should just sell the Qin family's house, and retire after paying off the debt. Don't bother, you dog, you are useless. A group of people laughed. Qin Sheng pursed his lips and said nothing. He, it's true that birds of a feather flock together. Rong Bin glanced at Dowdu beside Li Chen, and a hint of disgust flashed in his eyes. Qin Sheng, don't blame me for not giving you a chance. I won't bother you today, but if you can't pay tomorrow, don't blame me for not giving you face. Qin Sheng nodded, and Rong Bin left with his Tosa dog. Sorry. Qin Sheng smiled at Li Chen. It's okay. Li Chen shook his head. How much do you owe? More than 4 million, Qin Sheng said with a bitter smile. He has adopted many local dogs, and he also adopts stray dogs. Raising these dogs is a huge expense. Secondly, he comes to dog fighting every time and loses every time, so he is naturally in debt. Li Chen raised his eyebrows and said, what if you win? If you win, you will earn something, Qin Sheng said with scorching eyes. You can even get rich if you win a game. The more battles there are, the more dogs with higher winning rates will earn. Of course, the odds are often not too high. Hi. Where are you now? 1 to 13. The corner of Li Chen's mouth twitched slightly, and he paid 13 for 1. How good is this, Qin Sheng? You haven't won a single game, right? So, as long as I beat you and win, and then you win again, I can get 1.3 million by betting 100,000. Theoretically yes, Qin Sheng waved his hand, but this is impossible. Although Qin Sheng is passionate about this kind of sport, he also knows how much his dog weighs. Li Chen tapped his fingers lightly on the table, thoughtfully. He looked at his dog named Dabao again and smiled. By the way, can you bring me some information? I want to study it, Li Chen asked. You want to place a bet too? Qin Sheng was stunned. Don't mess around, you still have a child to raise. I'll just take a look, Li Chen smiled. Okay, I'll get it. Qin Sheng stood up and left. Li Chen looked at Dabao and said, do you want to help your master win once? The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 478. The yellowish-brown Dabao stared with his eyes wide open. It couldn't believe that the man in front of it could actually communicate with it. I am willing, I am willing. Dabao nodded his head eagerly. For Li Chen, who has the god-level beast-taming technique, it is not too easy to communicate with animals now. Li Chen exchanged 10 drops of vitality water from the system at one time. Open your mouth. Dabao didn't understand what the man was going to do, but he was willing to do anything for his master. As Dabao opened his mouth, Li Zifeng and Li Biwu looked over. Dad, what are you doing? Li Biwu asked. 10 drops of vitality water is 20 return points, which is 20,000 yuan. Daodu, who was lying on the side, glanced at it from the corner of his eyes and snorted. Being able to get the reward from the master, this guy should be able to improve a lot. For Daodu now, eating vitality water is already a commonplace. 1 drop every day, this is a treatment that other animals in the house don't have. Xiahua has only appeared recently, but it is far inferior to Daodu. Dabao smacked his dog's mouth and didn't feel any changes. But then, there seemed to be a lot of different information in his dog's brain. Countless fighting techniques and skills, as well as the control of power. It seemed that Dabao felt that his brain was much brighter. What's going on? After Li Chen did all this, he didn't look at Dabao anymore, letting the dog digest it well. Daddy. Dad is helping this dog. Li Chen touched Li Biwu's little head and said, let's watch the game later. Watch the dogs fight, Li Biwu said excitedly. Yes. Okay, but I still want some ice cream, Li Biwu said with a smile. Li Chen. That can't be eaten today, let's eat something else. Okay, Li Biwu nodded. It doesn't matter what you eat, as long as you have something to eat. Dabao, who was lying on the side, was obviously absorbing the spiritual energy of the vitality water. As the time of immersion became longer and longer, Dabao himself did not realize that this subtle change had turned him into a different dog. Fool! Dabao shuddered, who is calling me? Its dog head looked around nervously. Don't look, it's me. Dabao's eyes fell on the lazy Daodu. Before that, it felt that this fellow was unusual. Little brother, how can we communicate? Dabao came over. Daodu slapped down with his dog paw, and Dabao's dog head hit the ground with a bang. Big brother, please accept my little brother's greeting. Li Chen. Daodu. This is probably a middle school second-year chatterbox stupid dog, right? Dabao, who was slapped by Daodu's dog paw, immediately came over like a licking dog, imitating Daodu to put his head on his legs. Brother, you are so awesome. Good. Brother, what kind of moves do you have, please teach me. You're so annoying. Brother, you are so mighty, you give us a little face. Daodu couldn't bear this kind of flattery anymore, and said in disgust, why are you like a licking dog? Dog licking? Yes, yes, I am a dog licking. Big brother is mighty. Daodu. Big. Shut up, Daodu said impatiently, if you talk again, I'll beat you up. Remember, when you come on stage, if anyone bullies you, you'll beat them to death. But I can't beat them. There are still several guys who are ruthless and cruel. I'm afraid, Dabao said. Can you not embarrass our little dog? My master has helped you reform, what are you afraid of? Daodu was speechless, this dog is really cowardly. Can I really beat them? Dabao was still not sure. In the past, he would get beaten up when he went up, and there were a lot of injuries. Yes, Daodu thought it was safer, if it doesn't work, I'll help you get revenge. Okay, big brother. Get out of here. Okay, big brother. Li Chen. Daodu. Both the man and the dog felt helpless, and they regretted helping Dabeo and the others this time. This dog looks honest, but it's a talkative and flattering dog. I don't know how Qin Sheng managed to keep it for so long and dared to let it go to the dog fighting arena. At this time, Qin Sheng came over with 2 tablets and popcorn. Xiao, Xiaofeng, here Qin Sheng handed the food to the 2 girls. Li Biwu thanked him with bright eyes and took it. Li Zifeng immediately came to Li Chen, and the father and daughter were ready to study it. Li Biwu also lowered his head and came over, and suddenly he bumped into Li Chen's head. The corner of his mouth curled up, and he was about to cry. Li Zifeng looked at Li Chen helplessly as he comforted his stupid sister, and opened the tablet himself. There is information about the dogs participating in the race. There are countless ferocious big dogs, all of which are purebred dogs. Some are even more than 1 person tall, which makes Li Zifeng terrified. The match of each dog is also listed. This place is open to most people, and it is not bloody, so the odds are capped at 15 times. Of course, it is also for fun, excitement. The really amazing thing is on the next level, where the starting odds are 15 times, and the cap is 50 times. This can be called a sky-high bet. Of course, ordinary people can't get in, and there are very few games available each time. If Qin Sheng wants to get in, there are 2 ways, either his net worth is over 10 million, or his dog fights all the way up. Generally speaking, if you win 10 games in a row, you will be qualified. If you win 10 games, it won't be difficult for Qin Sheng to have a net worth of over 10 million. After being comforted by Li Chen for a while, Li Biwu began to concentrate on dealing with popcorn. On this floor, there are a total of 3 games starting at the same time, and a maximum of 2 games can be arranged within an hour. Generally, they start in the afternoon and evening, and the number of games is determined according to the number of participants. After reading it, Li Chen said, "Do you want to participate?" "Yes," Qin Sheng pointed to the last page of the competition and said, "The other party has won 2 games in a row. It's not a pure breed dog, but it's better than mine." Li Chen immediately found Qin Sheng's competition information. Seeing the odds of both sides, Li Chen couldn't help but smacked his lips and said, "You are now 1 to 5. Qin Sheng smiled embarrassedly and said, "Yes, yes." Li Chen didn't really laugh at him, so he said, "How do you bet and how do you play?" "Just register. It's very convenient now. When you win, you will get cash back to your card," Qin Sheng said. "Are you betting?" Li Chen asked. "I bet." Qin Sheng was a little embarrassed by the question, and looked at Dabeo and said, "I believe him." "How much is the bet?" 5,000. Li Chen almost choked to death. "Just 5,000. Qin Sheng's old face turned red, and he said shyly, This is my last belongings." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 479. Even Li Chen was stunned on the spot. He remembered that the Qin family should be quite good. Why did you suddenly end up in this situation? You can only get 5,000 yuan? It's almost incredible. Logically speaking, it shouldn't and can't. But seeing that Qin Sheng didn't look like he was lying, Li Chen had no choice but to say, "I'll lend you some." "No, no need." Qin Sheng waved his hands repeatedly, a little embarrassed. "I just placed the bet for fun." Just for fun? Li Chen didn't believe this. Just when he was about to continue speaking, Qin Sheng's expression changed slightly. Nana, the charming woman in front of her, was smiling, holding a man's arm. twisting her slender waist, and walking towards the viewing platform in front. After hearing Qin Sheng's voice, Chu Na frowned slightly and looked over with some displeasure on her face. She was very dissatisfied when she heard Qin Sheng's voice here. She didn't expect that Qin Sheng would actually come here with the owner of the native dog that scared her. His eyes immediately became cold, and he looked at Li Chen and his daughter with the attitude of a superior person looking at an inferior person. You really can't change your habit of eating shit, Chu Na sneered, it's over between us. Qin Sheng looked at the man she was holding with a somewhat displeased expression, and said, I'm afraid you've already planned this, right? So what? Chu Na pressed her graceful figure against the man next to her and said delicately, I was the one who fell in love with you. Qin Sheng clenched his fist and wanted to punch him. Every time you ask me to buy a dog from Wu Keping, you say his dog is very powerful. Qin Sheng finally understood that if it was for him, it was all lies. This pair of bitches had already colluded, just waiting for him, a fool, to jump in. Every time Qin Sheng spent a huge amount of money to buy a dog, he ended up losing everything, and even the dog died in the end. His money was spent, his dog was gone, and his people ran away. Qin Sheng, the dogs that others bought from our house are all very powerful. If the dog you raise is not very powerful, it only means that you don't know how to raise a dog. Of course, your luck is not good either. Wu Keping sneered, don't you know how my Wu family got started? As he said that, he shook the rope in his hand and said, you don't need me to introduce the fighting ability of my bull terrier, right? If you want to regain your reputation, I can sell it to you at a low price. It's not much, just 3 million. In this way, you can not only earn face, but also earn a lot of money quickly. At that time, Mr. Wrong will not embarrass you. You can achieve multiple things with one stone. You are such a stupid dog. If you don't want money, I don't want it either. Qin Sheng snorted coldly. This is a double entendre, scolding both humans and dogs. Wu Keping's face suddenly turned cold, and the bull terrier in his hand grinned at Qin Sheng as if he could understand the words. When Dabao saw this, he immediately stood up and guarded Qin Sheng's side. Very good, you have the talent. Wu Keping pointed at Qin Sheng with a smile and threatened, you'd better pray that your native dog can't win. If you win the next game, I will let my dog come out to bite you. Kill your dog. Qin Sheng, I advise you to think clearly. Mr. Wu is doing it for your own good. If you are sensible, apologize to Mr. Wu quickly, otherwise, you will suffer. Chu Na crossed her arms around her chest and squeezed out an astonishing arc. You bitch man and woman, get out of here, Qin Sheng scolded. You. Chu Na's chest trembled with anger, she pointed at Qin Sheng and cursed, you are seeking death yourself. Do you really think that after offending Mr. Wu, your dog can still get out alive? Just wait for death. Chu Na turned around and chased after him. In her opinion, Qin Sheng was seeking death. Who comes to participate in dog fighting and doesn't know Mr. Wu? How many people's fighting dogs have something to do with Mr. Wu? Of course, Chu Na would not admit that she had indeed fallen in love with Qin Sheng a long time ago. They even teamed up with Wu Keping to sell fake dogs to Qin Sheng over and over again. The breed may not be too bad, but the combat effectiveness is a mess. She had long since despised Qin Sheng, and was naturally disgusted with things like native dogs. Young Master Wu. Chu Na chased after him, Qin Sheng is so disrespectful. Don't be angry. Wu Keping smiled lightly, waved his hand and said, it doesn't matter, as long as he dares to let his dog end up, I will make him regret it. Come here, check to see if Qin Sheng's dog has suffered any fate. If so, immediately arrange the weakest opponent for him. As long as he wins one game, he will be finished. Yes. Qin Sheng sat on the chair with a slumped look on his face, his eyes a little distracted. Although he didn't want to be a licker, it would be false to say he wasn't heartbroken at the moment. He gave sincerely, but what he got in return was betrayal and blow. How could he feel better? Li Chen had no intention of persuading, after all, this was someone else's private matter. Papa Li Biwu poked Li Chen's chest muscle with his finger. What's wrong? That aunt just now was mean, Li Biwu said. She was mean to Xiao Wu, and she wanted to teach Xiao Wu a lesson, and even called Daodu a bitch. At this time, Li Biwu's mouth was pouting loudly. It can be seen that this little girl still cares about Daodu. Maybe she didn't understand the grudges between adults very well, but she didn't like this woman very much. Now seeing this woman treating Qin Sheng like this, she felt very unhappy. Li Chen's eyes flickered slightly and he glanced at Daodu again. A native dog, is he so despised? Just when Li Chen was thoughtful, Qin Sheng suddenly said, "Can you lend me some money?" At this time, Qin Sheng seemed to have made up his mind. "How much do you want to borrow?" Li Chen asked. "Just lend me 100,000. Qin Sheng hesitated. In his opinion, this was a huge sum of money for Li Chen. If he lost again, it might be a big trouble. 100,000, Li Chen was stunned. "Or 50,000 or 30,000 will do," Qin Sheng said repeatedly. "It doesn't have to be 100,000. Sure enough, Li Chen's family didn't have much money. Although he knew he would lose, he still wanted to try it once. If he failed again this time, he would have to give up this business completely. "Okay, give me your card number," Li Chen smiled. Qin Sheng immediately reported the card number. Li Chen immediately turned around. Ding! Qin Sheng picked up the phone, trembled with fear, and said, 1 million. His voice changed. "Why does this guy have so much money?" Li Chen pointed to the battlefield and said, "Don't sign up yet? Get ready to start." Qin Sheng's mind was a mess, and he could hardly believe his eyes. Li Chen actually lent him 1 million? This is simply unimaginable. Isn't he from a poor family? With a head full of doubts, Qin Sheng bet 100,000 on himself. Because he knew that Dabao would most likely lose this time. "Dabao, just try your best." Qin Sheng touched Dabao's head and whispered. "Winning is the best, but not winning doesn't matter, as long as Dabao doesn't die." Dabao barked twice, indicating that he understood. Li Chen also placed a bet, sat in his seat, and looked at the battle stage above. "Why can't the local dog get on the stage? My local dog is on, and I'll beat you." The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 480. Ding ding ding. The atmosphere was high. Waves of sound followed one after another. A group of people sat in their seats and looked at the three platforms. There were 3 battles at the same time, and everyone could bet according to their preferences. Dabao vs Dawang. Ha 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 ha. When the information of the first battle at the outermost edge appeared, the scene burst into laughter. It was as if this was a joke of the century. Qin Sheng clenched his fists. Wu Keping's face changed slightly, and he cursed, "Who the hell arranged it like this?" The staff dared not breathe. "I said to arrange the weakest," Wu Keping cursed. "Are they all idiots?" "Mr. Wu, but this is already the weakest." The staff felt wronged. "There is nothing worse than this." Wu Keping was choked and said, Qin Sheng is lucky. The worst dog is enough to beat Qin Sheng's dog. What the hell is he still tossing? Then let this dog bite Qin Sheng's dog to death, and there will be a huge reward. Yes. No way. Am I seeing right? It's that dog that keeps losing again and again. Oh my god, this is a waste of resources. Okay. It's really embarrassing. Why is a dog joining in the fun? That unlucky thing Qin Sheng is a disgrace to our circle. Even a mongrel like De Huang has a higher pedigree than his dog. I don't know where he got the nerve to let a mongrel dog play. There were mocking and talking all around. You can see that there were cursing voices all around. Xiao Wu widened her eyes and muttered, "Do Bao, come on." Dodo, who was lying on the side, glanced at the little master and barked twice. "Don't worry, little master, the mongrel dog on the opposite side is no match for the licking dog at all." Xiao Wu heard the voice and lowered her head and said, "Daodu, are you trying to comfort me?" Daodu immediately showed a dog-licking smile and nodded his head. "Yes, it is such a double-standard dog." "Yeah, Dabao can do it." Li Bua clenched his chubby little fist. Qin Sheng stood up and pulled Dabao to the battle stage. As he walked along, the people around him pointed and said enough to drown him. Across from him, a man smiled. He was very glad that the first opponent the organizer matched him with was such a rubbish. You know, his mongrel dog is really not up to the stage, but he never expected that there would be an even more unupscale dog. He was almost laughing to death. The two of them stood around the iron cage with the dog, unbuckled the dog and put it in. Ding ding. The odds were displayed on the neon sign. De Huang, 1-2. De Bao, 1-5. You can tell who everyone is more optimistic about by looking at the odds. Trash dog, just die quickly. Hey, let's look forward to the next game, right? With this odds, I'm embarrassed to bet. Qin Sheng listened to the laughter around him in silence, and a whistle sounded. De Wang, who is more burly and taller than Dabao, has a more ferocious face and a small part of the South African Mastiff bloodline, but whimpers a little. People may not feel it, but their kind can feel it. De Wang is like this. As soon as he entered the cage, De Wang trembled a little. The pressure from Dabao on the opposite side was too strong. De Wang, go, bite it to death. Go, I placed a bet, bite it to death. Bite it, bite it. Everyone was shouting and cheering. The surrounding noise, enthusiasm, and emotion seemed to have infected De Wang. De Wang bared his teeth. Although he was often disliked, he had some noble blood after all. It doesn't believe that it can't even beat a local dog on the opposite side. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, De Huang roared and pounced fiercely. The South African Mastiff is a breed of dog that is very loyal to its owner. It has a strong tracking ability and will never let go once it bites. Even if De Huang has only a small half of the bloodline, it is enough. De Bao stood quietly aside. For some reason, it was very afraid before, but not so afraid today. More importantly, it found that the guy on the opposite side did not seem to pose any threat to itself. Watching De Huang pounce on him, De Bao's dog eyes showed a hint of doubt. Why does it feel that this guy is so slow? Snap! When De Huang pounced in front of De Bao subconsciously slapped out with a dog paw. Ao ao. Clang. As De Huang's body hit the wire mesh behind and made a loud noise, the area was instantly quiet. Everyone's face was full of shock, and their mouths were wide open enough to put an egg. All was silent. De Huang fell to the ground, howling. Half of its face was covered in blood, and even a few teeth seemed to have fallen out, with blood flowing out. After a few seconds of strange silence, the scene erupted in uproar. What's going on? Nima, are you kidding me? A local dog just pawed a dog with Boer-Boel bloodline to death. The uproar around attracted people on the two viewing platforms next door. When everyone knew the truth, they were all stunned. Is this fake? Dabao walked towards De Wang, like the proud king among dogs. He was obviously just an ordinary local dog, but he suddenly gained the aura of the king of dogs. De Wang huddled aside, howling and trembling all over. Get up and bite it. Grass mud horse, what kind of garbage dog is this? I've done so many things, I'm at a loss. Trash, stand up. The rich people around who were betting on rhubarb were roaring and roaring. As for the dog's owner, he collapsed on the ground with a pale face. After just one encounter, his dog was defeated. A complete failure. Qin Sheng, who was standing there, was even more dumbfounded. Dabeo, is he awakening? He rubbed his eyes and watched as Dabeo stepped on the rhubarb, who dared not move with his dog paw. He held the dog's head proudly, just like a human who has won a battle and trampled the enemy under his feet. At this moment, the noisy scene became quiet again. Weird. Extremely weird. Dabeo, a local dog, suddenly became the focus of everyone's attention. Dabeoshan. It's impossible not to announce it, because De Wang has no fighting power and doesn't dare to fight. Countless people below are so heartbroken that they can hardly breathe because they all bet on rhubarb and think they can win for sure. After Dabeo walked out of the fighting cage, Qin Sheng immediately hugged Dabeo tightly, his eyes red. We won. Damn it, who is that, placing so many bets? It's Qin Sheng. This idiot bet 100,000 for himself, and he made 500,000 in this one round. No, there is a strange guy who laid, grass, 1 million. Wouldn't that make 5 million? Qin Sheng turned around sharply and looked at Li Chen, his eyes almost popping out of his head. He, bet 1 million?